Howdy. Are you a low-time pilot that doesn't want to work as a CFI, but you want to get paid to fly? Well, in this video, I have a single-engine airline pilot job that you might be interested in. Well, hey, I'm Dr. Andy Moltar. I'm a flight instructor at CFI IIMEI. I'm a former corporate pilot, and I'm a professor of aviation. So before I tell you about the low-time pilot job, I want to tell you about my website, moltaraviation.com. And so on my website, I have this section, low-time pilot jobs, and on this page, I share all the videos for all the companies that I'm for all the low-time pilot jobs that I make videos about. And so if you haven't seen them already, make sure you subscribe. That way you get notified every time I come out with one of these videos. So the company I want to tell you about is Surf Air Mobility. So Surf Air Mobility, they do a couple different things. So they have two airlines that you could fly for, Southern Airways Express and Mokulele Airlines. And then they also do jet charter flights. Now, I don't think they actually own any jets. They're just more of like a charter service. So they bid flights out, and then different Part 135 charter companies, bid for those flights. So that's not what you're interested in. What you're interested in is flying for, Southern Airways Express or Mokulele Airlines. So the aircraft they use would be the Cessna 208 Grand Caravan or the Pilatus PC-12. And so I'm just going to show you real quick. Southern Airways Express here. They have a few different routes. So here out in the west part of the country, Los Angeles, Imperial, California, and Phoenix, Arizona. And then in the central part of the United States, they have from Texas and Dallas Fort Worth area to Missouri, Arkansas, and Tennessee. And then in the east portion of the country, they have a lot of destinations in Pennsylvania and Washington, D.C. And then Mokulele Airlines, well, you'll see here the route is basically they do a bunch of island hopping between all the different islands in Hawaii. So if you want to apply for this company, at the top of each page, whether it's Southern Airways Express or Mokulele Airlines, you just click on the careers button, and then it'll take you to this website. And so here you can see all the different positions they're hiring for, and their headquarters is in Addison, Texas. But like we saw, they have lots of different routes, and so just depending on where you want to live and the demand for pilots at the time, you just go to the website. So here we have first officer for the Caravan in Honolulu and one more location. And so when we're looking at this job posting now, I want you to notice it says 24 days ago that they posted this, but it's still on the website here. So that means it must either be still open or they're reviewing applicants. So if you apply right now as you're watching this video, maybe this posting won't even be up anymore, or you apply and you don't hear anything. That is possible. But I want you to keep in mind that there's always going to be openings over time. So if you're watching this, you don't see an opening, just check back the next day. Check back the next day. Eventually, there'll be another opening and you can apply for them. All right. And, if you work for Surf Air Mobility, love for you to comment this on the comment section below and, let us know what your experience is. So anyway, so here we have first officer for the Caravan, and this is in Honolulu, Hawaii, and I'm gonna mispronounce this, Kahului, Hawaii, and it's a Hawaii-based first officer flying the Cessna Caravan 208. You report to the chief pilot. Now, the requirements for this position is that you have to have a commercial pilot license, airplane single engine land, with a current instrument rating, and you have to have been a pilot for at least 6 months. I guess they don't want someone that's been, a pilot for 3 months. But you know what? Honestly, if it was me, you got to commercial pilot in 3 months. Oh man, I'd hire you on the spot. You're a hard charger, and you're gonna work hard. So, but yeah, so 500 hours minimum with 100 hours cross country, 25 at night, 50 turbine, or because if you're a 250-hour pilot or a 500-hour pilot, chances are you don't have 50 hours of turbine. But you'll probably have 75 hours of instrument, which you would have gotten during your instrument rating training. And that will include simulated instrument time. So if you don't have enough of that, go up with another pilot and switch off doing simulated instrument. All right, you only have to have a second class medical, but I always recommend getting a first class, just for if you ever want to go to the airlines, they want to see that you have a first class medical certificate. You have the FCC radio operators permit. Now, one thing I want you to notice here is there is a $20,100 training contract required. Um, the idea here is whenever you see these, especially for a low time pilot job, they're hiring you at 500 hours. Maybe you have 700, 1,000 hours. And they want you to stay on for a period of time because they're going to invest money into you to train you. Now, is there a type rating required for the Cessna 208? No. But they're still spending their own money to train you. So it's just kind of a way to get you to stick around beyond ATP minimums. That way you don't jump ship and go to the airlines. Um, I think it's just a personal trait of integrity. You say you're going to be there for a certain amount of time. Just fulfill your commitment. And then once you fulfill your commitment, I'm sure they'll be happy to see you go and follow your dreams to the next step. All right, then we have our compensation. So you're guaranteed 65 hours per month, and you actually start getting paid beginning the first day of training. Now, pilots under 600 hours, they will be paid at $12 per block hour during initial ground school training, and then $15 per block hour upon release to the line. So once you're actually flying, you're making $15 per hour. And then, with 6 to 900 hours, you're making $18 an hour. And then pilots over 900 hours get $21. Now I'm not gonna lie, that's not very much, especially for places like Hawaii. That dollar is not going to stretch very far. So, that's something to consider. Are you already wealthy that you could just go ahead and afford to live there on your own without this pay? So, if that's the case, that this would be perfect for you. If not, this is something that you'll seriously need to consider. All right, earlier we said that you had to have at least 500 hours to apply, but pilots with less than 500 hours says please refer to our internal pathway program. So I tried looking up what their internal pathway program was. I couldn't find anything, but what I'm assuming this is, so if I'm wrong, I apologize. But uh, if you watch my video, the top 4 tips of getting a low time pilot job, and if you haven't seen it, go back and watch it. But if you've seen it, you know that um, if you've been applying to a lot of different low time pilot jobs and you never hear anything back, well, that is a very common situation for a lot of low time pilots. And so one way to really stand out to get your foot in the door is actually go work for the company that you want to fly for in some other job. It could be any job. And so, earlier we saw a lot of in that previous video, I showed you that a lot of companies have different jobs that they're hiring for. So, if you're want to be in Hawaii, for example, you can be one of their customer service agents, full-time customer service agent. They'll have different jobs that you could qualify for. Uh, and so once you got your foot in the door, they see you every day. If you're a hard worker, you have a good attitude, and you have less than that 500 hours, eventually they'll be like, hey, why don't you go ahead and become a pilot for us? And so that's just a good way to get your foot in the door and get hired as a low time pilot. All right, well, that's all I have for you. Thanks for watching. Please make sure to subscribe so that way you get notified every time I come out with one of these videos. And if you have any questions, leave them in the comment section. I'm happy to answer them. All right, thanks for watching.